Yeah. Anyone in chat have any predictions? Nope. Right, so we're going on to the first lap here. We have Raza Game at the moment. As we have is Hoodim and Jack. Wow, they'll change of positions like mental. But it looks like Freedom and Nanu have edged out a bit of a lead. Tomos as well in the Alpine. Looks like he's going up high. As we're having a look at Nanu here. He's lost a bit of time heading into the braking zone, but he's gained that back. So it looks like it's going to be a three-way shootout between the Mercedes, the Alpine, and the Williams. The Freedom 46 cars, Nanu losing a bit of time down the end of the straight. Looks like he has a bit of a high downforce setup in that Mercedes. But Tomos in the Alpine really putting out a statement on this lap. He's keeping the car in the right direction at the moment. As we're checking on with Owen Bozzy as well. He's not too far behind the field, looking very close here in one-shot sprint qualifying here for the Austrian Grand Prix. Heading round turn 9 and 10 now. Massive flake on the steering wheel. That'll hurt the front tyres. And Turbo Chris over out the last corner. Looks like he's going to snatch it. It's Nanu who takes pole position by 0.04 of a second. Incredible. And Tomos, after dominating the second sector of that lap, lost loads of time in the third sector. I say loads of time, it was 0.07 of a second. The top three separated by under 0.08 of a second. Incredible. This is the third division of this league, and from 1st to 13th, they're all under a second of each other. And that's a great qualifying session, a very fast one. But what else do you expect out of Formula 1? But we have a couple issues at the back here. We have Trusted and Raza Gamer again falling victim. And Owen Body as well, the man who used to be his teammate at Sauber in the Australian Grand Prix, is now sharing the row with his old Sauber teammates in Austria for the sprint race. So here we go. Sprint time for Austria, and as they all look up to Niki Lauda curve. Now it's gonna be a tricky one because the Lauda curve, turn 1, it's a very sharp corner, but it's still a pretty high speed one at the same time. It's one of the few turn 1s that are very, it isn't like a stop and start. It's kind of like a stop and then kind of medium speed through there, but the bumps with the curbs really make it a roller coaster of a ride if you get it wrong. As we've seen commotion at that corner, examples being in 2017 in real life with Danny Kvyat, Fernando Alonso and Max Verstappen falling victim, and also other examples that I can't really think of at the moment. I think, and even out of turn 1, heading down the hill into turn 3 and through turn 2 as well, the amount of risk you take making a move there, it doesn't seem like a risk taken move, but given the circumstances of having turn 2 and then straight into turn 3, it makes it very hectic. But here we go then, 5 lights on for Ground Effect Racing League. The third division's away for the Austrian Grand Prix. Nanu ahead of Turbo Chris, and Tomos making up for that poor slip up in qualifying, takes second place. Nanu leads out of turn 1, then comes the Aston Martin of Turbo Chris, then comes Lloyd, who's ahead of this battle between Jay Slynn and the Williams, as Lloyd is getting swallowed up here by RCC Houdin, and there's a spin for one of the McLarens. Lord is round, and Liam Mack is round. Another Sauber and a McLaren again round. More bad luck for the McLarens. As meanwhile, the side-by-side in the background between Owen Body and AJ Nolan. And they're just behind Raza Gamo, who's making up for that poor start. He's made up 4 positions within the first 5 quarters of the Grand Prix. He's looking to make up 6, as there's another battle ahead with Freedom and Stayed Daisy. Because heading through turn 6 and 7, and now down into one of the fastest corners on the track here, we have Jammy behind the Freedom 46 car. He bigs himself to win in the Twitch chat, but he looks like he has good pace. Meanwhile, Nanu, who's pulled half a second over Tomos, who's pulled half a second over Turbo Chris, who's pulled about 4/10 to Lloyd, who goes wide, and that's going to make him vulnerable to the Alpine. We ride on board with the French outfit, but he's not going to make the move. As meanwhile, farther back, there's a close battle with Jammy, who's looking for a move, as we're looking at pit stop strategies, which won't happen. As meanwhile, off wide goes Freedom. Freedom's wide, and he's now fallen behind Jammy here, who was looking for a move. Meanwhile, here comes the hat of Jay Slynn, the winner from Australia, looking to make up places, but he's not going to make the move there on Stay Daisy. As meanwhile, Nanu looks like he's lost time there. As Trusted and Nolan look like they're battling. I think, did Nolan make a mistake? I'm not too sure. Meanwhile, the battle for third place is heating up here. Turbo, Chris and Lloyd, the Williams driver, catching up to the Aston Martin. There's now a 10th separating the leaders as well. This is going to be hectic as they head into turn 1 again. For the third time in this 12-lap race, 1 quarter of the race is done. The other 3 quarters of the race is still yet to be contested. As heading through the Niki Lauda curve, and they've gotten through quite well, but losing time there's Thomas. That's going to make him vulnerable to the Aston Martin, who heads into turn 3 as Raza Gamer gets ahead of Jack. Nanu loses the lead, and down the inside goes Turbo Chris to try and nab second place, but he's not going to do it. Thomas takes back the pole position that he lost in qualifying, and Nanu now behind. And now under pressure from Turbo Chris, who goes late to the inside. We go to the helicopter cam, and Turbo Chris side by side with Nanu, and he's edging out ahead. He's round the outside. Liam Mack and AJ Nolan are battling as well. We'll cut to them in a minute as they're still side by side, heading through the 2 left-handers here in the middle sector. And now out of turn 7, losing second place as well, is Nanu Star. Absolutely incredible. As meanwhile, Lloyd is now going to be the next one up to set up a move, and he's nearly round, and he's going to let the Alpine of Hoodim get 2 Alpines into the top 4s. Meanwhile, Stay Daisy as well now, making McLaren Stay get better. There's a penalty for Owen Body for track limits, I presume, and that was hectic. As meanwhile, it's about to get more hectic as Nanu going to come back for round 2 here, and the purple helmet in the Mercedes doing a very Lewis Hamilton-esque move and getting back up into second, but kicking out the rear end of the car there, struggling for traction. Meanwhile, here comes the Alpine, who's looking to get a move on Stayed Daisy. As meanwhile, oh, actually no, he's getting a move on Nanu, actually, beg your pardon. It's down the inside of turn 4. And now heading into the outside of turn 5, Lloyd and Jamie are also battling in the background, as Lloyd has a penalty. He's the second person in this sprint race to get a penalty. His big slide there from the Alpine. There's now 2 Alpines in the podium, but there is also 1 Aston Martin in second place, stopping the 1-2 for the French outfit, which would be a remarkable result for Alpine, who have done quite well in sim racing from what I've seen. In other events that I've commentated on, they've got 1-2 in an event called the Race for Jules in another league. So let's see if Alpine and their good streak of form is another penalty for Lloyd. It's Jacelyn as well, the winner from Australia, has also got a penalty. It's track limits Austria as the Williams go for it. The Williams teammates, Nigel Mansell and Nelson Piquet style, battling, and now Kieran Nag has gone for a move to the inside of Lloyd, and there's contact. I think, was that a bit of debris? I'm not too sure. But Lloyd losing places, it looks like. Freedom battling with his teammate has cost his teammate dreaded here. As through goes GRL Atom. AJ Nolan is having a little tootsie with Trusted. That just shows if you make one mistake, even in the 3rd division of Grand Effect Racing League, you're gonna pay a very hefty price of at least 2 positions, as you just get swallowed up by the pack behind you. Trusted and AJ Nolan still out in. Lloyd and Raza Gamer. Raza Gamer's got ahead of the Williams, who's still struggling, and he's round. The bad day gets worse on lap 5 here in the sprint race in Australia. Lloyd going from 9th to 14th in 1 lap, as there's another penalty for Jack. That means both Red Bulls have penalties in this race. Meanwhile, I'm just looking at the gaps to see which is the closest battle on the track. I think it is this battle here. As the round goes to McLaren, big shot for the McLaren as he gets hit by the Mercedes of, I think that was Nanu, who's also going slowly. Nani going slowly, and he's lost a couple places to Freedom, to Jammy, to Jay Slyn, and he's still struggling. He's now holding up his teammate Kieran, who was involved in his own incident earlier in the race, when he went down the inside of Lloyd on the last lap. Absolutely hectic. I don't know what happened to the McLaren, but it's again another McLaren disaster here in Ground Effect Racing League, as Lorne, after his spin at the start at the same corner, also making the McLaren stay worse. But heading on to lap 7 of 12, we're over halfway through this sprint race here for the Austrian Grand Prix of Ground Effect Racing League. There's a yellow flag stayed. I think he's pit. Is he retiring? No, he's still in the race, but he's pitting. Says there's a yellow flag in sector 3. It is AJ Nolan. I knew something was up, and it is. The man in the number 11 car has spun off at the last corner, very similar to what Lloyd did, but he is going to get ahead as Trusted here, battling with one of the Williams further back. That's Lloyd losing another place, but Trusted has trusted himself to get ahead of the Williams, or has he, as the Mercedes are battling further up the road. We'll cut to that in a minute. Actually, we'll cut to that now, as now GRL Atom looking to make a move on Nanustar. We have the Red Bulls here falling in line as well. We're looking at Lloyd. We're also looking at Liam Mack, the point scorer from Australia, looking to make more of an impression on these two ahead of him. Although he's been a bit unfortunate in this first part of the race. Nanu gets a penalty, very unfortunate for him. As now heading down the straight here. Very nice camera angle. They head down through turn 1. I need the mini map, to be honest, but I'll get that up for the next session. But meanwhile, we have the Alpine go to the outside. We go on board with the Alpine, who's looking to make it a 1-2 Turbo Chris, nearly running into the back of Thomas there, going deep on the brakes and V-shaping the third corner. Meanwhile, Lloyd is battling here. It's 3 cars nearly abreast there, as the Sauber battling with the Aston Martin. There's a yellow flag down, who's off. We'll cut to that in a minute, as side by side with the Aston Martin and the Sauber. And Turbo Chris still battling with Houdin, but this battle is just as amazing. As now coming out of turn 4, heading into the 5th corner on the track, the first left-hander on the track in 3 corners around this lap. As meanwhile, there's still battling going on with AJ Nolan and State Daisy battling for 16th. Liam Mack is still battling with the Williams, as out goes Lorne. Ron Lorne is out of the race in the McLaren. Not the best day to be a McLaren driver in Ground Effect Racing League. Nanustar gets another penalty. This is not a day to remember for Nanustar, at least in the sprint race. I wonder if he's just saving his tyres or something, just getting through it while he can. Was that car going wide? It was. It was its own body. He just went wide through the Niki Lauda corner, as meanwhile Raza Gamer looking to put a dent in the Red Bulls here. He's looking to get out of this Red Bull sandwich that he's currently in. And will the Red Bulls give him enough of... Will the Red Bulls give him enough, or will the Red Bull sandwich give him the wings to get past Jack? As I finally get that sentence spoken from my twisted tongue. Meanwhile, Thomas still leads ahead of this Aston Martin. So we look from behind. Houdin behind, looking to make a move, as meanwhile Trusted in the other Aston Martin is making contact. There's crashing at turn 5. What's happened there? I think, is one of them out? No, none of them are out in that. But that was a very hectic corner, as Lloyd and Trusted looked like they made contact, and I think Liam Mack may have got collected after their skirmish. That looked very messy. I couldn't really pick out what happened there too well, but we move on there. More drama here in the sprint race of Austria, and if there's crashes like this in the Spielberg track, only in the sprint race, then I can't imagine what's going to happen in the Grand Prix. Locking up there for Nanu, runs to the back of the Red Bull of Jack, who block passes out of turn 3. But now heading into turn 4, there's battling again with State Daisy, who, oh no, it's not battling, it's just cars going past each other in the pits. But meanwhile, Nanu getting ahead of Jack, who's squirmish out of turn 4. That's going to be a very easy pass, as going past theirs. Meanwhile, look at this battle. They almost run into the back of each other. Freedom nearly hitting into Kieran Nag. And heading into here, the battle for the lead as well is heating up. Turbo Christ and the Aston Martin looking to take a win for the Aston Martin team. And meanwhile, it's the Alpines in a double podium. But they do have one driver in the winning position. But they also have the other one in the third spot. But Turbo can't be too aggressive here. Because if anything goes wrong, the other Alpine's just going to steam past him. And I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to go 3 wide into the third corner. Is it going to work? I think it will. Yes, it will. He's got the traction on the exit. He's got the move. They're side by side. They're making contact, I think. We're on board with Turbo Chris there for a split second. Now we're back to the off-track cam. Locking up a break there. Block passing. The number 72 Aston Martin has taken the lead. He blocked past Thomas and has now taken Thomas off the winning position again. And Thomas, who took the lead from Nanu, who's now 11th, has now lost the lead to Turbo Chris, who started second and who'd him there, nearly having an off. AJ Nolan battling with Liam Mack. As understeering there's the other Aston Martin had trusted. It looks like he's missing wing still from that crash. As meanwhile, Freedom's got off. Freedom in the 46. Williams has spun out of the last corner. It's another spin out of that treacherous last corner for the Williams. Nanu being hounded by the Red Bull. Obviously, Nanu drove the Red Bull in Australia to contend with Turbo Chris and Jay Slynn in Australia. As meanwhile, Thomas looking to make a move again. There's more contact with the Haas. There's a Haas making contact with the Ferrari there. He's now lost the position to Kieran Nag, who's now going to get up into the next position. As round goes the Ferrari. That's Jammy. Critical for the championship. The Ferrari of Jammy is round. Owen Bozzi's DNF'd. Not too sure why. Oh, he's out. He's had a crash with someone. As you see him on the side of the road there, he's had a massive shunt with someone. Not too sure who it was. And while that was happening, Jammy had a spin out of turn 4. As meanwhile, I think, is that another Red Bull going off? It is! Both Red Bulls on the final lap have gone off. Incredible. Meanwhile, we cut to Turbo Chris, who wins the sprint race ahead of the two French pair of Alpines. Then comes the championship leader Aston, who extends his lead in the championship after a disastrous spin for Jammy. Then comes Jay Slynn, the winner from Australia. Then comes Kieran Nag. And Freedom, after his spin, still makes it up into 7th due to all that chaos that happened on the final lap. That was something to behold. As meanwhile, over the line comes Trusted, the other Aston Martin, who takes